the weight of just under 4 gram, to be specific, 3.5 gram. This is without doubt the lightest IEM that you can find in the market nowadays, because it is entirely constructed of plastic in order to keep the price affordable so that you can buy it for $20 US. So being super lightweight, it also means that the comfort is excellent. I was able to wear it like this for the last 3 hours, and the best part is that you start to forget that you are wearing it after the mark of 1 hour. That's how good and how comfortable it is. The design, despite being made of plastic, the ergonomic of it is excellent. And being lightweight, it is also very good with seal, which also depend on which type of ear tip you have chosen to use. This Waner SG version 2 comes with 2 types of ear tip. The good thing about it is that it also comes with this premium ear tip, which is the TANGZU Sanchai. And I almost never use the normal ear tip because the TANGZU Sanchai offer comfort, seal factor, and the seal is so good in that combination that I am barely hearing any kind of ambient noise seeping in as I'm walking here in a very noisy environment. So all in all, I say for $20 US, you're gonna get something which is very excellent with comfort, seal factor, and wearability. How time has passed. It was like almost 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and you might have seen my video which was for the closing for 2022. I did a declaration of the best IEM and dongles for 2022, and if you have seen that video, then you might remember that I have actually placed the first edition of TANGZU Waner SG, which was the original TANGZU Waner SG, at number 3 for budget segment. Now, almost 3 years down the road, we have here in my hand finally TANGZU Waner SG version 2. So the question now is that how does this Waner SG2 improve upon what was already an exceedingly popular and very successful TANGZU Waner SG? So let's just go straight to the point. Let's just talk about some of the comparison. And to be honest with you, to declare that this is the best perhaps for anything under $50 US, we have to look into several factors, because one thing for sure, for the last 3 years, we have been seeing quite a lot of so many amazing IEM priced well under $50 US, all the way even $10 US, which has been performing quite amazingly well. And it entirely depends on your perspective, entirely depends on what you perceive as best. So let's just have a look at this in comparison with the original TANGZU Waner SG. And when I spend quite a bit of time listening to this, one thing is evident to me. This Waner SG version 2 did offer some sort of improvement over the original TANGZU Waner SG. When I look back at the original TANGZU Waner SG, I classify that IEM as being super musical, very smooth sounding, and very organic. It is in fact outright warm sounding. It is the kind of sound which is very easy to listen to for extended period of hours all day long, no issue at all. When I listened to this version 2, immediately what was evident to me, even from the get-go, the improvement that TANGZU have implemented on the TANGZU series was that, first and foremost, the resolution, the imaging, and also the speed, pace, rhythm, and timing. It is definitely a bit more mature sounding now with the way it handled the dynamics of being faster with the transient speed and everything, which resulted in a way that I would even say that it resolved better resolution now when it comes to macro detail especially, and even micro detail. But also in the process of doing that, what happened is that it is also now something which I would consider as no longer warm sounding. In fact, I would even say that if you prefer something which is a bit more smoother, a bit more musical, a bit more immersive musically, then the original TANGZU Waner SG is still the choice to go for. But if you ever need something which is, let's say, within a similar kind of sound tuning, with the kind of sound frequency which is very well balanced throughout anything from the treble region to the mid-range all the way to the lower frequency, and you require a bit more resolution, and of course, this is it. TANGZU Waner SG version 2. It has the kind of upper frequency which is smooth, very good with macro detail and even micro detail, fairly well extended, and the mid-range itself kind of a bit, let's say, more transparent now, does not exhibit that much of coloration at all. And the lower frequency, pretty much similar to the original TANGZU Waner SG, it is a bit more focused on the sub-bass rather than the mid-bass. If you love mid-bass, then you find that the mid-bass kind of a bit subdued, but if you love sub-bass, then Waner SG version 2 offer the kind of sub-bass which is very appealing to certain type of music, especially if you listen to the kind of modern music which emphasize a lot more on the sub-bass. Technically, I would say that this Waner SG version 2 also offers some improvement, especially when it comes to soundstage. It does appear to sound kind of a bit wider now, a bit more airy, and the spatial imaging, it is a bit more holographic as well, which means that it is a bit more suitable for gaming now, as opposed to the original TANGZU Waner SG. The burning question now, is this the best money can buy for $20 and below in the highly competitive market, IEM market now? And my answer would be, it depends. Depends on what you're looking for. Because the reality is that, objectively, we are seeing so many amazing options available for the last 2 years. So let's just get a bit of perspective there. Let's just compare some of the IEM which I would consider as top-notch and worthy to mention here. So let's just start with something like KZ Caster. Now, that KZ Caster is even cheaper than this Waner SG version 2. And I would even say that when I listen to that KZ Caster, even though I am not a fan of Harman tuning, I am impressed. Impressed because for that kind of price, you are getting the kind of sound which I would consider as very well tuned with the way it handles the dynamic, bass, rhythm and timing. It is smooth, it is mature, it is fairly well extended, and it is also fairly well resolving. One of the very best lower frequency when it comes to sub-bass. The difference being is that, of course, KZ Caster is a bit more Harman heavy flavored, where this is a bit more, let's say, balanced of between being a V sound curve or even Harman sound curve. And then of course we have something like TANGZU Ultima, the latest iteration of TANGZU, which has been very successful for the last 3 years. And if you prefer a bit more of transparency, a bit more of speed, a bit more of resolution, especially when it comes to mid-range and mid-bass, then I would even say that TANGZU Ultima is a better option, because this one would appear a bit more focused on the sub-bass region as opposed to the TANGZU Ultima, which is a bit more thicker and more punchy with the mid-bass itself, and a bit more of resolution and a bit brighter as well. And of course, we have also competition from 7Hz, in particular Salnotes 7Hz Zero. You can either call it Salnotes or 7Hz, but the key thing is that that is another very potent competition which has been proven to be quite successful, especially if you love similar type of tuning. I would even say that I'm gonna find myself having a bit of difficulty choosing between this Waner SG version 2 and that 7Hz Salnotes Zero. Of course, there are several more options in the market nowadays, but the key thing, the thing that I'm trying to say here is that we are very lucky now that we have so many great options for anything under $50. It is not about right or wrong, it is about understanding what exactly you are looking for. For example, one of the key reasons you want to have this Waner SG is that you already love TANGZU sort of tuning, which was already implemented with the original TANGZU Waner SG, and you want a bit more of resolution, you want to retain that similar kind of tuning, then it is quite natural to move on to this TANGZU Waner SG version 2. Thank you so very much for watching the video until the end. Without skipping, I hope. Now click like and subscribe, and also follow me on Instagram under the name of AndyAV. And also, if you'd like to support me directly, you can join the membership below for behind the scene, especially for AAV Insider and above, which will allow you to see what I am doing behind the scene.